Although Republicans committed atrocities against the Nationalists, the atrocities and massacres committed by the Nationalists trumped anything the Republican mobs ever could or would commit. Their mass graves and victims are still being uncovered, and it's unlikely to end anytime soon. Whereas Republican leaders like Indalecio Prieto stressed the need for cool-headedness and a return to normalcy, the Nationalist leaders stressed crusade and vengeance against their political enemies. There were numerous instances of wholesale slayings of political prisoners and captured Republicans. These slayings mainly occurred at the beginning of the war, and they were truly frightening. Bedajos, Malaga, and Zaragoza were all drenched in the blood of their leftist defenders. At Bedajos, over 5,000 were killed. At Zaragoza, over 3,000. And finally, at Malaga, up to 17,000 Republicans and Republican sympathizers were shot. By far, one of the most famous victims of the Nationalist slayings was Federico García Lorca, a well-known Spanish poet and playwright. While he was sympathetic to the Republican cause, Lorca was largely apolitical. What singled him out for persecution and execution was his job and his sexuality. He was a poet, which Nationalists considered inherently, quote-unquote, left-wing. Additionally, Lorca was a gay man, who is said to have been infatuated with Salvador Dalí. These two pieces of evidence were enough to condemn him. In one of his more chilling works, written several years before the Civil War, he writes, quote, "Then I realized I had been murdered. They looked for me in cafes, cemeteries, and churches. But they did not find me. They never found me? No, they never found me." Unquote. His remains have never been discovered. A chilling testament to a man who was targeted for things that affected no one but him. These brutal wartime slayings say nothing of the intense nationalist repression which followed the war. Even Stanley G. Payne, a conservative Francoist sympathizer, claims the most reasonable tally for those killed by the Nationalists is probably around 90,000. This estimate is around the average for Nationalist casualty figures, but Sir Professor Paul Preston says the correct tally is probably closer to over 200,000.